Hi everyone, this is a sort of a bit of a TNT extra. It's a bit later in the day. I got back very early this morning, an overnight flight. It left at, 10 minutes after midnight, flew overnight, lost a couple of hours, arrived at 9 a.m. in Phuket this morning. I think I had about 1 hour sleep on the plane. The plane going to Kazakhstan, coming back with Air Astana, was packed. Every single seat was sold, including the business class and the economy. It's a two-class airline. Full service, very happy, great flight, but gee, those economy seats just seem to be getting smaller and smaller. Maybe I'm getting bigger, I don't know. Now, just a few big news stories I thought I'd just quickly cover, and we'll get into more details with our regular program tomorrow. But let's check and this is down in Phuket, which is 20 minutes south from here. But they had big rains on Saturday night into Sunday morning, such that some 16 flights were diverted, which were trying to land at Phuket at the time, and they were diverted to Krabi, to Suratani, and as far away as Suvarnabhumi, which is about an hour and 20 minutes north of Phuket in an aeroplane. 4 flights were unable to leave on time, and they had to wait till later in the day. But of course, these floods that happen, and these big rains and the quick rainstorms did cause lots of flooding. And it wasn't that the rain was so exceptionally heavy; it went on for quite a long time, some 5 or 6 hours in parts of the island. Around the centre part of the island, the PHANG area, up around the north, around the airport, were particularly badly hit. But whilst there was a lot of dramatic footage and people wading through the flooding, and we get to see this every year, it does happen every year. And as I arrived today, there was just no sign of any flooding around the airport at all. So it did clean itself up relatively quickly, and we're being blessed with a day full of sunshine today. So these floods do happen, and no matter what they do to try and mitigate the floods, do they spend an extraordinary amount of money for 3 or 4 times a year to be able to handle getting rid of the water? They'd have to do it everywhere on the island because they don't exactly know where it's going to hit. Or do they just cope with it when it does happen from time to time? The same thing happens up in Pattaya. They've spent zillions on trying to fix up the storm drains, especially along the foreshore there. And for all the money they've spent, it doesn't look like really much has improved. So the floods in Phuket, certainly a big talking point yesterday and into today's news. And just whilst we're in Phuket, an announcement over the weekend that they're going to be banning heavy vehicles. They're talking about trucks with 10 wheels or more, and they're going to be banned on Phuket's roads between, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. on weekdays. Public holidays and weekends, the bans won't apply. Now, they've tried something like this before, and it lasted a week, and then the trucks were back and nothing really happened. But traffic in Phuket has become really an existential problem for people living on the island. It's got dramatically worse over the last 2 years, such that this person even left the island to try and find somewhere a little bit quieter. It was just getting impossible to go even a couple of kilometres. It was going to take you half an hour or an hour. So this is one of the things they're going to try and do to mitigate some of the transport. Now, I'm not really sure if this ban on heavy trucks is the sole solution. Now, they're saying that at the top of the island, where you come across the bridge from the mainland, they're getting each day around about 230 large trucks, which would be 10 wheels or more. Now, getting rid of 230 trucks during the peak hours, not really sure if that's going to fix things up dramatically. Heading even further south, down in what we call the deep south, sometimes referred to as the restive south, one of the 3 border provinces called Yala, they had a 16 kilogram gas cylinder bomb that went off. It was put into a truck. It was actually a government truck, pickup truck that had been stolen, and the 16 kilogram ended up as a bomb. was full of steel rods and small steel pellets, and it killed a 45-year-old teacher and then injured another 16 people. So the violence in the Deep South, well, it does keep on going. Interesting report in the Pattaya Mail, which less of a news item and more a seasonal warning about snakes. Now, when the rain comes, it does force the snakes out of the ground. And they say in this PattayaMail.com story that the headline says, public warned against poisonous reptiles during a rainy season, 12,000 attacks reported last year. So snake bites, attacks by venomous snakes, and of course dengue fever are both things that increase during this wet season. So as with this property, we're trying to keep our grass really short. Just in the last month, we've seen 3 snakes. They were all cobras. They were small, they were only this big, but of course they would get bigger. So somewhere around this property there might be a nest, and something that we're going to have to cope with, given that we've got this very large property here, runs back some 85 metres. So keeping your grass short is about the best thing you can do, and being vigilant when you're walking around the garden, sort of stomp heavily and make sure the snakes know you're coming. But dengue fever, not a problem here at Tham Luang Beach in Phang, but generally dengue is a problem, and again it's sort of up to you to try and reduce the amount of stagnant water sitting around and take precautions against mosquito bites at those times of the day, especially sunrise and sunset, which we know are when the mosquitoes are more prevalent. Interesting poll out during the weekend from NIDA, well-regarded, well-run professional polls. This is one of the 4 polls they do each year to measure the mood of the meeting with the Thai electorate as regards the political leaders and the main political parties. And some quite stark figures from this poll. Firstly, the ruling Pheu Thai party dropping in popularity, and quite substantially, and also the Move Forward party, who now sit in opposition, both their leader, Pita Limjaroenrat, and the actual party itself gaining in popularity, I think just a nudge under 50%. So there'd certainly be some talking around the parliamentary chambers and around the water cooler about those particular figures coming out on the weekend. I might mention more specific figures in tomorrow's program. But hopefully that's just a quick roundup of some of the main stories from around Thailand. We'll do a full program, our usual TNT program tomorrow. But I'm back in town, had a great time in Kazakhstan. Thank you for putting up with me being overseas for a week. But glad to be back on my beach. I do look forward to seeing you tomorrow.